Good morning, sports fans. It's 10:30 Saturday morning, the day of the London Nocturne. A crit that's been missing off the UK calendar for the past few years, but it's finally making its return to the London streets this year. And I've somehow managed to get myself a spot in the pro race tonight at 9 o'clock. So I'm going to be taking you along behind the scenes of exactly what my day looks like in the lead up to this evening's race. So when the race is this late in the evening, I do like to go out for just a short pre-race spin. We're talking 45 minutes to an hour, super easy, super chill, flush the legs out. I did my pre-race activation efforts last night, so this morning's ride is more about just testing the equipment that I'll be using. So headed out on the race bike, which in this case is my Ribble Ultra Race, as well as testing out my race wheel and tyre combo, which are these Hunt aerodynamicists with these Pirelli P0 SLRs. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't always run this wheel tyre setup for all of my training, so I try and reserve them just for race day. So just heading out, making sure everything is dialed in is, pretty important, which I'm already 20 minutes in, and it's pretty good fun to be riding on a bike this fast out in training. So yeah, I'll crack on, finish the rest of the ride, and then it's about getting back, refueling, packing, and then thinking about making the trip down to London. There we go, 52 minutes and 191 watts average. Something tells me that tonight's race is gonna be slightly harder than that. So I think one of my favourite things about circuits racing is just how little equipment you need to get into it. So obviously there are some basic requirements. A bike, B, a helmet, and C, I guess some kit to race in. And then D is a race license, such as this one here, which you have to require from British Cycling to even be able to sign up to the races in the first place, which you can just do on the British Cycling website very, very easily. There are some other things that I do take to pretty much every other race, which, I put into my bag. I've got my Stubble & Co bag here. So just packing up now for this evening. So this is my race kit. So we've got short sleeve, shorts, and then obviously a long sleeve jacket. Socks, obviously, enough said. Gloves, I would highly recommend wearing gloves, just in case you do crash. They will protect your hands. I mentioned helmet earlier, but pair of sunglasses, again, highly recommend. Stop all the bugs from going in your eyes. These ones from SunGod actually have got a photochromic lens, which basically adapts to the light. So perfect for a race like tonight, when it's going to start off pretty sunny and end pretty dark. Other things, like I mentioned, race license, nutrition, not essential, but again, I've taken some caffeine products in the form of these Veloforte Mara chews, and obviously also a Doppio caffeine gel. As the race is so late, that'll just help me keep a little bit more alert. Protein shake for afterwards, and then I've got this mini pump just to get my tyre pressure absolutely spot on before the race. Another tool from Preston Cycles. This is a torque ratchet. It's very neat actually. It's got all the bits that you need inside this little handle. Not essential, but I run a Insta360 so I can get in race footage, chamois cream, and then also some headphones that I put on during the warm up. And then I do have, a microfiber towel. That's super handy for getting ready before the race, and then some rollers as well, which I use to warm up. Now, obviously, not all of that is essential, but that is what I do take to 99% of my races. I realised I forgot two things off of that list. First of all, bottle to keep you hydrated. You probably want one of these during your warm-up, and then obviously one also during the race itself. And the second point is insurance. Now, you're going to probably want some sort of insurance cover for both your bike and also your equipment. The nature of the game, racing, is dangerous. There are crashes. There's no way around it. So making sure you've got cover for your bike and also all of your accessories that you plan on using is a very good idea. Now I use lacquer, who protects you against crashes, accidental damage, theft, all sorts of things. And yeah, the thing I like about them is you can add the race insurance as and when you need it. So highly recommend checking them out if you do plan on racing. Race day. What can I say other than it's always just a crazy experience? I was hoping to try and film some more behind the scenes, but yeah, got caught up a little bit in the day just driving into central London. The atmosphere and the event as a whole was so insane. It just wasn't really much time to get out the camera and start filming. Good news, however, is I did have my Insta360 on, so I managed to capture the entire race. Now, obviously, I'm not going to play the whole duration of that because we will be here for close to an hour. But I have picked out some of the key parts to the race that I thought I would share. So yeah, the race always starts with a neutral lap, which actually is probably one of the sketchiest things there is. And that is basically just a free-for-all before you then line up on the start line. And it is then literally drop of the gun and off you go. Now, the Nocturne is around the streets of central London. So it's a very technical, tight and twisty circuit. It's about 1.2 kilometres long, and it was taking us just over a minute to complete each lap. There's about 80 riders or so in the race, and yeah, it was full gas right from the start. The nature of the course just meant it was a constant battling for position. And yeah, I think I hit around 187 beats per minute within the first lap. That just shows how hard it actually was. In the neutral lap, I was pushed a little bit too far back, and totally my own fault. Meant I was trying to make up as many places as possible in the first few laps. As a result, I did burn a lot of matches, as you can see, just, yeah, where I could, moving up. Which was exceptionally hard. So this rear back end of the course was incredibly quick. I think we were doing close to 60 kilometers per hour every single lap, which was absolutely insane. Before then, you took this really fast right-hander into a much sharper right-hander, which brought you back onto the start, finishing straight. Now, there's never that many long straight sections in the course. Even just before the finish line coming up now, there's a little bit of a kink, a little bit of a chicane, just to stretch things out even further. But as you can see, the gaps were already really starting to stretch out, which was kind of nuts. So I was just using the corner and my technical ability to move up. So as you would have seen there, I was leaving gaps into the corners and basically rushing the gaps. So a lot of people try and hold directly behind the wheel into the corner and then end up braking to follow this, match the speed of the rider in front. If you hold a little bit of space, you can basically carry your speed to go through the corner and, like in that case, manage to get up through the outside. Or in this case, I go around the outside, just trying to get that slingshot round to move up. Around 10 minutes in, sadly, there was a little bit of a crash. Thankfully, both riders were okay, but immediately this gap opened up, and it doesn't look like much, and I didn't really lose too much time, just had to slam on the brakes, but just that momentum that you lose from coming to a stop is pretty fundamental. Although it was only probably 3-4 seconds, sadly just never managed to close that gap and was never able to see the front of the race again. So luckily there's a few riders around me, so trying to be wise with my energy. Will Truelove, who that rider was there, managed to get him to come past and pull a turn on the long straight, where it was quite a strong headwind, and just save my matches. And then I came through on the tailwind section through the corners. As you see now, more riders started to join, and we actually got a pretty good chase on. I'm really surprised we didn't ever manage to get back on, because we certainly were not messing around. Out of the corners, most laps I was doing over 1,000 watts. I think my peak power was about just over 1,200 watts for 5 seconds, which was, kind of nuts. And it's been probably close to a year since my last crit race, so it was certainly a shock to the system, and probably why my heart rate was so high in the first few laps. But I mean, racing around the streets of London, the crowds out, was just an absolutely insane experience. Even though we were in the chase group, there was still a constant battling for positions, just trying to move up, hold. The rider's wheel in front of you was pretty fundamental. And mentally, that was actually quite hard, especially as it got darker. Just trying to keep a constant awareness of the riders around you, literally people coming from your left, from your right, people behind you, people in front of you. It was, absolutely insane, but that's what I love. Just that thrill of racing, just involved in the moment and just absolutely sending it. As the race went on, our group just got split to pieces. Just the nature of the race, just corner after corner, caused the bunch basically just, to stretch out. And sadly, didn't manage to hold the front of my group. I just didn't quite have the legs from those matches that I burnt earlier in the race, and spent the last few laps just by myself. But I mean, even so, still doesn't take away by how incredible of an experience it was. By this point, it was pretty much pitch black. I was very lucky in the fact that I actually saw Sun God at the start of the race and was able to test out brand new Vulcan's Vent sunglasses with a photochromic lens again that I mentioned earlier. Just this one had a lot higher low light visibility, so basically meant I could see a little bit better. Did mean, because I was off the back of the group, there was a chance I was going to get lapped on the final lap, and so was pulled out by the commissaires. But I mean, to be honest, I was suffering so much, I wasn't too disappointed. And like I mentioned, it was still such an incredible event and atmosphere. And I mean, I think crit racing is probably some of the best racing you can take part in the UK. And with the National Crit Series coming up in July, that would be really cool to get involved with. And I mean, if you're inspired by this or want to get into racing yourself, then there's crit races happening up and down the country pretty much week in, week out. Now, these town centre races are a little bit more rare, but there are probably numerous ones up and down the country that take place around closed circuits, such as the Milton Keynes Bowl, or like everywhere from Bath to Saltaire up in the north. These circuit races, there's different categories that you can enter, and you effectively start, when you start racing, you start as a Cat 4, and then as you get results, you collect points. And then the more points you collect, the higher the category you get. So you move from Cat 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to Elite. And it basically means you're racing against people of similar ability. And if you want to enter or find out more, if you head over to the British Cycling website, you'll be able to find more over there. But if you've got to this point in the video, that's very much appreciated. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's giving you an interesting insight into behind the scenes of what I get up to on a race day, racing around the streets of London. And like I mentioned, I've got lots of exciting events coming up. Everything from the National Crit Series to the Rift gravel race out in Iceland, as well as a few triathlons. So if you want to find out more, be sure to subscribe and stick around, because the plan is to document as much as possible. So thank you very much for watching, and no doubt catch you out there soon.